Yes.
And so I have refused to be silent.
Thank you.
And I don't care who's committing the genocide, who's committing the torture, war crimes, the crimes against the U.S. Constitution, the crimes against the oath of office. I don't care if it's George W. Bush, if it's Bill Clinton, or if it's Barack Obama. I've called them all out.
That's right.
I will continue to call them out. And in addition to that,
yes,
let me also just say that we also realize the hold that special interests have
absolutely
on the policies that are coming out of Washington and that are being expressed by these various presidents. So on the one hand, I'd like to just draw the audience's attention to the fact that the FBI contacted me and said that, you know, I had a terrorist death threat that had been issued against me. Of course, they hushed that up.
That's right.
They played up the part that some Georgia hillbillies had threatened Eric Holder and had threatened Barack Obama.
Yes.
They quieted the fact because they didn't want Black America to know that these Georgia hillbillies had also threatened me. Well, in the first place, I don't believe that the Georgia hillbillies even care about Barack Obama or Eric Holder. And I certainly don't believe that they would even care about me, let alone doing something to harm any of us, because the ones that were finally arrested were decrepit, walking on canes and old. And, I mean, these are just, you know, it was... But anyway, so I get the phone call from the FBI. Now, what is striking about the timing of this is that I had just arrived from Cape Town, South Africa, participating as a juror on the Bertrand Russell Tribunal on Palestine that had just found Israel guilty of practicing a type of apartheid that is peculiar to Israel, but apartheid nonetheless against the Palestinian people.
That's right.
And then I get this, you know, not very subtle message upon my re-entry to the U.S. after I come from Malaysia, where we did two things. There was one long conference, but it was broken up into two different sections. One section was revisiting 9/11.
Yes.
Seeking the truth.
That's right.
Because, of course, you know that we all know what we saw on September 11th.
Yes.
We don't know how it came to arrive that happened on that day.
That's right.
And despite, you know, tomes of so-called evidence that have been published by the 911 Commission, the fact of the matter is that the people of the United States, first and foremost, have not been told the truth about how we had massive intelligence failures on one day after spending trillions of dollars in a military intelligence infrastructure. We still don't know the answer to that question.
That's right.
So there is a possibility that those individuals who have convened, I've participated in the Malaysia conferences now for the last 6 years.
Yes.
And there have been many, they investigated war crimes that were committed in Iraq. They investigated war crimes that were committed in Afghanistan at Bagram, which is a U.S. base there.
That's right.
They have investigated now Palestinian crimes. They basically are doing what we did with the Bertrand Russell Tribunal, doing that on Palestine.
Yes.
And so I came back from Malaysia having participated in a Palestinian event and a 911 truth event.
That's right.
So there are individuals who have a vested interest in preventing us to know the truth about September 11th.
Yes.
And also don't want the information to come out about the realities that the Palestinians suffer. I just read this morning that the authorities in Israel are considering having separate buses.
Yes.
So it's not even that they can get on the same bus and have a bar.
That's right.
So that you move back when an Israeli Jew gets on the bus, but they would have their own Palestinian bus. So the idea of Israel being a democratic state, it's democratic, yes, but only for Israeli Jews.
That's right.
It's not democratic for all of the people who live in the land.
Right. Brother Jimmy, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. And first, good afternoon, Congresswoman.
Good afternoon.
Great to be speaking with you again. I mean, you touch on so many very important points. And one thing that, has kind of led through this discussion is the method. You say that there are so many Americans, all Americans, that are without the knowledge of, certain situations like 9/11, as we talked about, and the most recent 9/11 2012 event that, from my perspective, it seems that we are just so confused because the media attention has been driven to a particular narrative which distracts the populace from getting this truth and information. Of course, we are pleased to hear you speak on these issues, but my question is, what types of things can be done, in our communities here in Baltimore and smaller communities, grassroots levels, to make sure that we are getting the information, the truth out about these situations so that, we can be aware and actually know what to do, especially, going into the new year?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I just finished listening to Glenn Ford, who was interviewed by David Swanson. And, I love Glenn, and I love his political analysis.
Yes.
And so I would readily recommend that, well, the first thing I would ask people to do is turn off the television.
That's right.
There was a time when I thought I couldn't do without the television. And my mother, she's in that, got to have a television in every room, got to have the television on, blah, 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 like that. Mm-hmm. And, so I understand the addiction to television, but what we have to do is learn to read.
That's right.
And when I say learn to read, I mean read in the physical sense.
That's right.
But I also mean read in the spiritual, supernatural, transcendental sense.
Yes.
That we can read our environment as we read what is happening. We learn to read with a different kind of eye. We learn to see with a different kind of eye. I used to call it, when I was in Congress, and I would ask my staff to hear the unspoken.
That's right.
Read the invisible.
Yes.
See the invisible and read the unwritten.
That's right. Yes.
That is really when one understands the totality of one's environment in which we're operating.
That's right.
So that we don't have blinders on. So many of our people walk with blinders.
That's right.
And so all they know really is what some white person has affirmed to them to be the truth.
That's right. Yes.
And they accept this version of the truth based not on their own reality.
That's right.
But based on the fact that this person said it, and so therefore it must be right.
That's right. Yes. Some call
And that's how we get to the point of, I'm writing a paper right now, because you know I'm in the PhD program, on leadership and change. And so what I'm writing about is when, because this program challenges its members, its students,
yes,
to dissent when they see injustice. And it really is trying to instill in its student body a responsibility
that's right.
to dissent. And that's why the program is leadership and change, because we can exercise leadership no matter where we are. You exercise leadership every day at noon on the radio station.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
And so it's leadership, but what for?
That's right.
It's for change.
It's for change.
Well, now, when we dissent in a way that has the potential of actually upsetting the status quo, making change,
that's right.
then comes the soft repression, if we're lucky.
Right.
And if we're not lucky, we get hard repression.
That's right. That's right.
And so, in order for us to really understand our environment and the mechanisms and the methodologies that we need to employ in order to get what we want as a people,
yes,
we need to understand this phenomenon of repression.